The official initial 53-man roster is in. But is it set? I tell you what, on today's episode, we're going to talk about, were there any surprises? Who is the most shocking make or cut for the San Francisco 49ers? And what does this mean for the waiver wire that's going to be released very shortly? Stay tuned right here on the WayneBreezie Show.
So bright that we shine at. All we know is the Niners. Ready to go, that is fine. So faithful to the bay. I be sipping gold bar whiskey on the rocks and a 24-karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy B tipping non-stop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop, we be banging through your speakers. WayneBreezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. WayneBreezie, the 49 preacher. We so bright that we shine at.
What's going on, 49er faithful? Welcome to the WayneBreezie Show, sponsored by Residency. That's right, Residency, where you can get the coolest hats that your 49ers, favorite 49ers players rock. You just go to www.residency.com, use the promo code SFBreezie, and you can save $5 on your total purchase. Once again, go to www.residency.com. Use that promo code SFBreezie. Take advantage of the sales that they have going on exclusively. So if you missed some of the hats that you wanted, they have been restocked. They're probably on sale. Nice little discount. Plus, you get the $5 discount using that promo code. Go check it out over at residency.com. Shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew. You know who you are. I can't tell anymore because those have been suspended as of right now, but I do appreciate you for still rocking with your boy Breezy. To all the subscribers out there, thank you so much. Listen, if you're new to the stream, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this joint. Click that thumbs up. All right, that's www.youtube.com/at the WayneBreezie. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, man, share this joint with somebody and tell everybody, listen, man, my boy WayneBreezie is doing phenomenal work, or he's doing terrible work. At the end of the day, just tell them to subscribe to the channel. Listen, if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, thank you. And if you're not, go ahead and check it out. All right, as well. It'll be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts shortly after the actual live show. All right. You can also follow on X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Facebook at the WayneBreezie, and take advantage of the subscription features over there as well. And then exclusively, the show will be moving to the live shows, will be moving to the Patreon. So listen, right now, do yourselves a favor, go to www.patreon.com/TheWayneBreezie. Select one of the 3 tiers. You got your red, you got your gold, and you got your black exclusive tier, man. Select one of those tiers so you can get advantage of some of the exclusive content over there, as well as the live shows, which will be beginning next week. And I'm doing a live giveaway. That's right. I'm going to be giving away an autographed 49ers football jersey if and only if we get 49 subscriptions by the end of this week, which is Friday. That's right, 49 subscriptions by Friday. Doesn't matter which one of the subscriptions it is, as long as it's either red, gold, or black. So take advantage of that right now, man. I truly would appreciate it. And next week, when we start doing these live shows, you're going to want to be a part of this community, the chat and all that stuff. You will only have access if you are a Patreon member. So go ahead and do that. All right. And let's get this popping and get it crack-a-lacking. All right. All right, man. Guys, man, this has been a great time. If you're a 49er fan, sort of, kind of, because we're moving closer and geared up toward the NFL season, which the 49ers will be at home on Monday Night Football taking on the New York Football Jets. Now, look, there's a lot of stuff that's going on, but the initial official 53-man roster is in place, and we're going to go ahead and just quickly review that. But before we do, I do want to discuss just a couple of things as far as the injury report. All right. So, look, this is what happened with the 49ers. Now, let me get this going really quickly so I can have it perfectly shown. All right. All right. And so actually, I don't want to do that where it's scrolling. So let's go ahead and put that up there. And we were giving you the live waiver wire updates right now. And Tay Martin is supposed to be signing to the 49ers practice squad. All right. Tay Martin, wide receiver, is supposed to be signing to the 49ers practice squad per Aaron Wilson. All right. So here's the injury report. Elijah Mitch, of course, I can't spell because I'm typing so fast all the daggone time. Elijah Mitchell is on the IR, which is season ending, and I do want to explain those. All right, so bear with me. Let me just get this all set up right so it looks right. I like stuff to look right. All right, so Elijah Mitchell is on IR. He was placed on the IR. He did not make the 53-man roster. The 49ers shut him down due to hamstring injuries, okay? So he had some severe hamstring injuries going on. You know, and I think they liked what they saw from the rookie Isaac Guerendo, who literally is the same as a little bit taller than Elijah Mitchell, but they got the same 4.3 speed, right? Which is what they want. Also, Isaac Guerendo looks like he's going to be a bonus on special teams. And they also like what they got out of Jordan Mason as a running back too. So Elijah Mitchell has been placed on season-ending IR, which means he's done for this season, 2024. He will not be participating in the season, in this particular season for the San Francisco 49ers. No regular season, no postseason. Season been shut down. Now they will get him back next year. They'll bring him back into camp. He'll have another season to fulfill his final year on his rookie contract with the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll see how that pans out. Kalia Davis, they also put on the IR designated to return. Okay, so yes, there is a difference. All right, so Kalia Davis, former, was Kalia Davis a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick? Former pick for the 49ers. Started first season was on the NFI. Didn't play that year. That was his rookie year. Last season got placed on the IR and he was out for the season after he had got like his first sack. Then he came in this year, played in preseason game or whatever, and then now he's injured, right? And so what the Niners decided to do is place him on the IR before. Now, they could have put 2 players on this list, and they chose to put one where they can designate him to return. All right. And so the Niners took advantage of that. Kalia Davis, defensive tackle, will be on that. And then Dre Greenlaw is on the PUP, which means that Talanoa Hufanga got taken off the PUP, which is great news for us. Now, this does not mean Talanoa Hufanga will be equipped and ready to go week 1, but this means Talanoa Hufanga is gearing up toward playing pro football for the 49ers this season at some point. All right, pro football for the 49ers this season at some point. So this is going to be really cool, really cool, really cool, really cool. Talanoa Hufanga back in the safety mix. Talanoa Hufanga and Jair Brown. We're going to talk about those guys. We're going to recap the 53-man roster, the initial, official, initial, however you want to put it. We're going to recap that because we're going to talk about our surprises or shockers, right? Same thing, synonyms. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of controversial things with the San Francisco 49ers because a player that did not make the roster was Trent Williams. He is on the did not report list / retired list in the NFL. So Trent Williams, no, he's not retired yet, or he's not retiring. I don't know. But you have to kind of think of that. And I talked about it about a month ago. I brought up the concept, what if Trent Williams possibly retires? What if he's ready to hang up the cleats and call it quits? He is looking to be paid and get those guarantees. I think we know that by now. But let's talk about, what the report is talking about when it comes to Trent Williams. Right now he's holding out and there's really no movement here. And, I don't expect it to be until they're ready for him to be. Now, look, he did not make the roster. And last year, this happened to the 49ers as well, with probably their second most important player and Nick Bosa on the opposite side. And then they found once he was ready to sign, he made the roster. They moved some players around, bada boom, bada bing. And then you go. So, right, he became a roster spot. Now, the only thing that I felt like Nick Bosa forfeited last year, other than his sack record, was captainship. And so maybe that's something Trent Williams isn't really looking forward to getting because he's not in camp. And so he won't be voted as a team captain, or will he? That's something to think about. But the Trent Williams fines right now are out. And he said these are mandatory fines. They continue to pile up. He says this is per Matt Mayoko, says this is getting complicated. Trent Williams was originally scheduled to make $20 million base salary this season. He's incurred at least $4.6 million in mandatory fines, lowering his salary right now, the base salary. You know, you take the 4.6 minus the 20.05. Right now, he's at $15.45 million. So his base salary this year is only $15.45 million. Now, I know a lot of people say, hey, Trent's bringing this upon himself, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But technically, that's what it is. Now, he went on to say, I knew that was coming. I thought I'd seen it at the corner of my eye. He has no guaranteed money remaining on his current deal. In theory, the 49ers could move around some of his future non-guaranteed money and make it guaranteed. In 2026, he is on the books to make $32.21 million in base. So that will go up. So the Niners, I think, are going to get to work on this Trent Williams situation as of right now. They're going to get to work on this situation as of right now. And I believe Eric Saubert, the tight end who I projected to make the 53 roster, is back. So we got some breaking news. Eric Saubert is back on the 53, which means that the Niners must have designated a couple of players to the IR, right? And I'm just trying to figure that out. All right. So the Niners placed Ambry Thomas and Jonathan Feliciano on the IR. So they brought back tight end Eric Saubert. Now, I told you this was going to happen on yesterday. It just made sense. And, you know, people were like, well, why did they release him? Why didn't he just make the roster? I'll explain that as well, because I'm okay with being wrong about him not making the roster. But let me just get the breaking news going on right now. So that is the breaking news right now. Ambry Thomas and Jonathan Feliciano have been placed on the IR. All right. So that means they're going to be out for a few games on this season. Let me put this up here. Ambry Thomas, Jonathan Feliciano, IR. Feliciano. I think I spelled that right. IR. So two more players on the injury reserved list. And then the 49ers, they're going to add probably one more player, Eric Saubert, to the 53. So I told you it was the initial official 53. Initial meaning stuff, it was going to change, okay? It was going to change, all right? It was bound to happen. It was going to change. Now, let's talk about tight end Eric Saubert being added and probably why he wasn't added to the initial official 53. So when you look at Eric Saubert, it was one of those things to where, like, you got to understand the politics of the NFL, right? You got to understand the politics of veteran players being released and non-veteran players being waived. When you're a non-veteran player getting waived, that simply means that you have to clear waivers. The 49ers they were number 31st on the waiver wire. If you guys play fantasy football, you'll kind of understand a little bit more about what the hell the waiver wire is, but they took it from real football, right? The concept from the real football, which means that they were second to last in claiming players on that waiver wire. It's going to take some time. With a veteran player being released, that simply just means that they are free agents. So if they're free agents, that means they can go and sign to any team that they want at any given moment. I do believe that the San Francisco 49ers went to Eric Saubert, probably had a conversation, says, look, we got to waive you, we got to release you, but just stick around. We're going to sign you, right? And so then why Jake Tonges, right? Why did they? Because there's a possibility him not having the accrued seasons, him being a younger player, and they liked him, wasn't going to clear the waivers. So that's crazy because Tonges beat out, all right, he beat out Braden Willis and Cameron Latu, right? So he beat out those guys. He's been in the league a little bit longer than those guys, and they like what they saw from him, so he beat them out. They were willing to move on from a couple of the draft picks that they drafted that just maybe not had fit, and they went with Tonges, and then they brought back their third tight end. All right, so here you go, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm telling you right now, Eric Saubert is tight end 2. He was tight end 2 in camp. He's going to be tight end 2 for the remainder of the season. All right, Eric Saubert is going to be tight end 2 for the remainder of the season. I see a couple of questions out there, and I promise I'll get to them. Big Papa, what's going on, big bro? Wants to know if I'm going to be in Seattle this year. Unfortunately, it's on a Thursday night, and it's going to be tough for me to get out there that Thursday because I have so many things lined up that weekend, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get back to those things that are already planned. So, yeah, Yeah, I won't be at probably attend that game. But my apologies, bro. It just happened at the wrong time. But I definitely like the Eric Saubert. They get their blocking tight end, and he can kind of get down the field. He has great hands. And then they kind of got this little, hybrid tight end in Jake Tongas. And let's see I'm curious to see if Braden Willis or Cameron Latou. Now, and check this out. I think the Niners are being smart. And Mason Pline, one of those tight ends are going to make the practice squad. And if it's me, give me freaking Braden Willis. Give me Braden Willis. All right, so that's the breaking news. Ambry Thomas, Jonathan Feliciano on the IR, Eric Saubert to the 53. I didn't have enough time to spell out Saubert because I'm like live on the show. So let me go ahead and spell it out. To the 53. And that's 2 players on there. And so I'm assuming maybe they're going to add possibly an offensive lineman with one of those players. Do they bring back Rock Yassin, the DB? It's going to be interesting to watch. Again, with the Trent Williams, he has a bunch of fines accrued. You could say he brought it upon himself. Cool. It is what it is. Let's put these back up here. All right. It is what it is. So Trent Williams is going to have to answer to some stuff. Now, there was a report that went out earlier this morning per Mike Garafolo that said that there's no new situation, things going on with Brandon Ayuk, but if you watch the whole video, it's a possibility that he's going to practice today. So listen, if Brandon Ayuk, who made the active roster, is out there practicing, I wonder if this just changes the dialogue of the 49er faithful. I wonder if they feel a little bit different. We'll see. I hope he practices. I hope that means if he does practice, that means he's a little bit closer to hopefully wanting to stay or whatever. I don't know. Not then. I still believe that he's going to be a 49er or whatnot. Okay, I believe that he's going to be a 49er. We're still waiting on live updates to the practice squad. I'll make sure to get those in there. Let's see what some of those things you guys said. What do I think of your picture? Are you talking about DJ Malone? Are you talking about your avatar? That junk is fire. If that's what you're talking about, that junk is fire. You know what I mean? I think it's dope. Ronnie says, what's the deal with Elijah Mitchell? So Elijah Mitchell has been dealing with some hammy injuries, man. And listen, man, his body just can't get right, dog. So you got to remember it was the first year. You got to remember his rookie season. You got to go back to the rookie season. Rookie season, he got pretty banged up, if I'm not mistaken. He finished the season because he was like the only running back that the Niners had at the time. And that's when the Niners really started to say, yo, we need a plethora of backs. We need a bunch of guys. Okay. Now he beat out guys in camp. Who did he beat out his rookie season? I want to say Jet McKinnon was still here, but he might have been gone by then. Was it Breida? Was it not Breida? It was somebody. He beat out some players in camp. And I think Mostert ended up getting hurt in camp. I think Mostert was going to get the starting job. Then he beat out Mostert, or Mostert got hurt. Whatever it was, he became the starting running back his rookie year. Then he got pretty banged up. Then in his sophomore year, we got close to 1,000 yards. His rookie year, we're like, yo, we got us 1,000-yard rusher again. Great pass blocker, great pass catcher. We got us a guy in Elijah Mitchell. And then week 1 in that Chicago game, they just dive at. Remember, he had 50 yards on the ground. I don't know if y'all remember that, but he was about to go ape shit on the Chicago Bears defensive front. He literally was running. He took a hit to the knee. Went on the IR, came back, took a hit to the other knee, went on the IR, came back, and didn't play in the postseason. So if you guys can remember a little bit about Elijah Mitchell, and then ever since then, they're bringing in new backs. They're trying to figure out stuff. And I'm not saying he was pushing himself down the waiver, but his availability was less. You saw what Jordan Mason was able to do. Durable kid, one of the undrafted guys. Jordan Mason steps up, boom, 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 boom. And so, yeah. So unfortunately, what's the deal with Elijah Mitchell, Ronnie? He's being placed on the IR, so he's shut down for the season. Hope they're probably going to give him a chance to get his body right. This is what they did with Danny Gray, I believe. No, I didn't know they did this with Cam Latou last year. They did this with Cam Latou last season. All right. What time is John and Kyle speaking today? I'm not sure if it's 2 our time or 2 their time, which would be 5 our time, but it's close to around then. You know what I'm saying? We shall see. But either way, I'll be off the air for both of the shows. Don't forget to check out the B.A.M show today, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. All right. So that's the latest on Brandon Ayuk, man. There's a possibility, there's a possibility that he is going to practice. The Niners are hopeful that he practices, and I'm hopeful. And I believe that Ayuk got through training camp, didn't participate in training camp, and now it's time to gear up toward the season. The only question is he going to be playing on the $14.1 million fifth-year option and betting on himself? You know what I'm saying? Because that 14.1 is fully guaranteed, right? And so if anything is to happen to him, he's going to get that, and then bet on himself. Or did his agent, not him, but did his agent and the 49ers money guys and John Lynch figure out something that works best for both worlds? Because that's what it comes down to. I know a lot of people are over the negotiating and all that type of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's got to work out best for Ayuk's camp as well as the 49ers camp. You can't just say it's all about the team, because if it's all about the team, then you need this player on your team to make your team better, right? If it's all about the team, so then you got to make sure that the player feels taken care of, right? I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah, everybody wants him to take a hometown discount. I get that. But maybe that's not what he feels. That's not what his agent is telling him. You don't have to take a hometown discount. Why? Because the market says you don't. Look, this team is willing to pay you this amount of money. This team is willing to pay you. And y'all got to stop saying, yo, just go to that team. That's not what he wants. He wants to be here. That's his hope. The whole thing and purpose of Brandon Ayuk requesting a trade was for him to see what his freaking value is. Do y'all not get that? He wants to know how much he's worth. And so there's teams that have money that are willing to pay him. And then there's the 49ers that have the money that are looking to save because they have other plans in the future. And so his agent, Brandon Ayuk's agent, and the 49ers financial team just got to figure out what's going to work best for both worlds. And at the end of the day, whatever it is what it is. Okay. So nobody's wrong. Nobody's right. These are negotiations. We're just going to have to deal with it. The official initial 53-man roster was set on yesterday and has already been amended because we now have Eric Sauber. So now the team has 3 tight ends: George Kittle, Eric Sauber, Jake Tonga. So I just wanted to make sure y'all understand that this is going to be an ongoing thing. We just did the breaking about them placing Jonathan Feliciano, which we knew is dealing with a knee injury, and then Ambry Thomas, who has the broken forearm. He'll be out for a while. All right, he's dealing with that injury, and so they've added. Now this makes sense now to why they kept so many DBs, right? Because we're gonna go through the list as well. So let's start with the quarterbacks. No surprises there. Josh Dobbs, Brock Purdy, Brandon Allen. Those were the quarterbacks that we knew, were going to make this roster or anything like that. Like, we knew that those 3 quarterbacks were going to make the roster. Why? Because there's a quarterback 2 controversy brewing in San Francisco. Is it Josh Dobbs? Is it going to be Brandon Allen? I feel like the Niners are going to choose Brandon Allen, but in actuality, it should be Josh Dobbs. Or maybe the Niners just doesn't feel like it matters. They just want to make sure they got the best 2 quarterbacks there. But that means that one of those quarterbacks potentially will actually have to practice on the practice. No, they won't have to practice on the practice squad. The Niners can still sign a quarterback to the practice squad. So it's going to be really cool to see how this quarterback room actually pan out, right? I think the Niners just want to make sure that they're prepared, right? They just want to be prepared. Okay. That's my thought process on it. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. I don't make up what's going on. All right. Running backs room. I think the biggest surprise, shocker to me, was placing Elijah Mitchell on the IR. I did not see it happening. Now, I believe Nick Wagner talked about him having a more severe hamstring injury. And I was like, oh, okay. Because he came back to practice. He was practicing on the sideline, and then his hammy got worse. Interesting, right? Because he already missed all of preseason. He missed just about every practice. And we were just like, okay, maybe it's just they're just tempering everything and they're going to, just allow him to ease himself back. During that time, though, during that time, you had Jordan Mason rising up. Cody Schrader was looking decent out there. Right. And then you started to see Isaac Guerrero and Patrick Taylor Jr. because Patrick Taylor Jr. was also not practicing due to an injury. That last preseason game pretty much summed it up. So in my opinion, I think Patrick Taylor Jr. took the spot of Elijah Mitchell. He is not replacing, he just took that roster spot. Because if Elijah Mitchell was healthy, bada boom, bada bing, he would have been on this roster, right? But Patrick Taylor was the guy. You knew they weren't going to cut the rookie in Isaac Guerrero because of his big playability and his speed. So the Niners have what they need in their backfield. They got the shiftiness of Christian McCaffrey. They got the bruisedness of Jordan Mason. They got the regular kind of like just plain Jane running back in Patrick Taylor Jr. And they got the speed of Isaac Guerrero. That's a room. Speed. I felt like they on their Captain Planet shit, right? Speed, wind, water, heart, earth, sun, moon, whatever. They got it. And then they got Kyle Juszczyk, all purpose, right? All purpose. Kyle Juszczyk. Niners went with 5 backs, 4 running backs, 1 fullback. How you guys feel about that running backs room? I feel like, to me, that was the biggest surprise out of all the moves, because I did not see Elijah Mitchell being placed on season-ending IR. Let me know if you guys agree. Let's go to the wide receivers, because the 49ers, if you pick this, there's a poll question going on. Like, who the surprising, room, whatever, right? Like, boom, right? 49ers kept 7 wide receivers. 7 wide freaking receivers. 7? Whatever. Now, how they on this list, how they got to this list, it doesn't matter. They're making the list. Deebo Samuel, Ronnie Bell, Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Chris Conley, Jacob Cowing. My asterisk isn't at Ronnie Bell. I know a lot of people are like, well, damn, how did Ronnie Bell make this roster? Was he that 7th receiver? I don't know. Maybe Ricky Pearsall was the 7th receiver. Why? Because he ain't practiced. He ain't did anything. He hasn't done anything. He's still in a non-blue contact jersey. Let's hope today he's in a regular jersey. They will practice today. But my point is, they weren't going to cut the rookies, right? They weren't going to cut Jacob Cowing or Ricky Pearsall, especially Ricky Pearsall being a first-round pick. I did think that they may shut Pearsall down so he can get his shoulder right, but the Niners feel that he's going to be able to recoup. Now, there's a possibility he ends up on the IR, okay? And then he'll be out for about 6 weeks. And then he could be one of the players that they designate to bring back. So we'll see. Keep your eyes on Ricky Pearsall. But that, to me, is where Ronnie Bell comes in, because if there's no Brandon Ayuk and there's no Ricky Pearsall, you got Chris Conley, who would probably take the Ayuk spot in a two wide receiver set. And in a 3 wide receiver set. Juwan Jennings, to me, should be the slot guy. I'm sorry. Keep Jennings as the slot. Let that big man go over that middle, do what he does, and dominate on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. Keep Juwan Jennings. Now, he's also dealing with the injury. I want people to remember, Juwan Jennings has an injury too. All right, the Niners have several wide receivers injured. Here are the ones that aren't injured: Deebo Samuel, Ronnie Bell, Chris Conley, and Jacob Cowing. Those could be the 4 wide receiver sets that you see, depending on the injury to Juwan Jennings. Brandon Ayuk isn't injured, but he still hasn't decided if he's going to be on this team or what if the team's going to keep him. So just keep in mind, like, there's some things, but there's some stuff going on out there. But Ronnie Bell, congratulations. Chris Conley, congratulations for making the 53. Man, you got to give this man a round of applause. Going into year 10. He's going into year 10. That's so dope, right? Going into year 10, made the 53. Well deserved. Hands down was the 2nd best wide receiver in the Super Bowl, man. It was Juwan Jennings, Chris Conley. Whatever. You can at me in the mentions if you don't believe me. Just go back and watch the game. All right, so I like the wide receiving room. Now, what they're going to be able to do on their football field, we will see. We will see. Just remember, preseason was preseason, okay? Preseason was preseason. Nobody was schemed to get open. Like, there was no Kyle Shanahan plays going on. Hell, Kubiak was calling plays. So just let that just linger in the back of your mind. Okay, when you saw man to man, you got to see the young Jacob Cowing beat his man down the field. Ronnie Bell beat his man down the field a couple of times, just didn't reel in the ball. So just whatever. All right. The former Lions safety. All right. Update. I said I was going to update you. Tracy Walker. Now, I had Tracy Walker potentially coming back to the practice squad. I said that it was either going to be Tracy Walker. I thought they liked what they saw from Jalen Mahoney, but they got the safety, Tracy Walker. Former Lions is signing with the 49ers practice squad, all right, in the intention of being called up to the active roster sometimes on game day. So they made a deal with him. They said, listen, we like what they saw. If you watch, I don't know if you guys are subscribed to the Patreon, but you got to subscribe to the Patreon because I do the film breaks over there on the Patreon. All right. I do the film breaks. And on the film breaks, I was like, yo, Tracy Walker is saving the day. This dude was making all kinds of tackles. Like he had one in that Raiders game. If it wasn't for his diving, saving tackle, ooh-wee. It was crazy. Now, his intentions is to be called up to the active roster week 1. So they made a deal with Tracy. They said, listen, bro, we may need to put you on the active roster. I think they like what they're going to get from him on special teams. That means that, okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. I know we're not at the safeties yet. We're not even on the defense, but let's talk about this a little bit. This is letting me know that the Niners are definitely looking to ease Talanoa Hufanga back in. They're not going to rush him. I think the starting safeties will be George Odom and Jair Brown. And I think Tracy Walker, the third, the veteran, will be active. And then he will be utilized. He will replace George Odom on special teams. They'll use Malik Mustafa, obviously, as well. This is why they brought him back. This is why they didn't bring the undrafted kid back and Jalen Mahoney. And we essentially have, okay, practice squad spots, 16 players. I believe 7 of them can be veterans, and then they get the one international player. Okay, one international player. So just pay attention to that. I think the international player is either going to be Gutierrez or Isaac Alarcon. So we'll see. All right, one of those guys are coming back where they won't actually, they'll be on that practice squad. So Loner Incognito says, how is Jennings already injured? We got injured. He was dealing with an injury throughout training camp. I don't know if you guys remember. And he didn't play. He didn't play at all. All right. He didn't play at all, Loner Incognito. So I'm not saying it's a severe injury. I'm just saying he's dealing with an injury. We don't know how severe some of these injuries are. So you just gotta keep, I'll keep the ear to the streets and we'll keep it open. All right. So that's your wide receiving room. Tight end room might have been most surprising. Right now, tight end room is leading in the polls at 64%. Why? They only kept 2, George Kittle, Jake Tongas, 2 tight ends, right? They went with an extra wide receiver in 7 because they don't know how that wide receiver room is going to pan out, but they had a plan. The plan was, hold up. The plan was, we're going to release Eric Saubert, get on the phone. Hey, bruh, stay where you are. Soon as we get to this waiver stuff, we're calling you back. We got a deal in place. Eric Saubert is now on the 53-man roster. For those that are just tuning into the show, so now the 49ers have 3 tight ends on their 53. They subtracted a cornerback with DB, and they also subtracted an offensive lineman and Feliciano. Those 2 guys are on the IR as we speak. So they'll be on the IR as we speak. All right. So just a quick update on that. All right. So those are your tight ends. Speaking of offensive line, let's get to the offensive line because that is where it gets crazy. We can remove John Feliciano even though he made the 53. So here's the players that made the 53. John Feliciano, Nick Zakel, Jake Brendo, Aaron Banks, Colton McKivitz, Spencer Burford, Jalen Moore, Dominic Pooney, the rookie, Dominic Big Pun Pooney. All right, so interesting because if you chose this category, I can dig it. The Niners got 2 tackles up here. 2. No Trent Williams because he's on the did not report list / retired list. The only tackles I see on this list, starting right tackle Colton McKivitz, starting left tackle right now, and Jalen Moore. Crazy, right? Jalen Moore, Colton McKivitz, that's it. There's no swing. There's no nothing. Now, I think the Niners are hoping that Trent Williams is here, and then I believe Jalen Moore becomes the swing, which I think he is the best option. John Feliciano, just a few minutes ago, is now placed on the IR list. He'll be out for 6 weeks minimum, if I'm not mistaken. And they added a tight end. They did not add a lineman yet. So pay attention to see if there's going to be an extra lineman like Chris Hubbard or Brandon Parker. Will one of those 2 guys be called back up? Pay attention to that because I think that's what the Niners are going to end up doing at some point. And we're going to, I believe, Jarrett Kingston, if he clears waivers, he will go to the practice squad. So that's your 49ers offensive line. All right. Now, there is a report out there that's saying that quarterback Tanner Mordecai will be added to the practice squad. All right. And we talked about that. We said he would be the QB, the practice squad QB. The Niners loved what they saw from him. We also liked what we saw from him in the preseason. So Tanner Mordecai will be the practice squad quarterback at some point today. He's supposed to clear waivers. Bang, bang, Niner gang. How you guys doing out there, man? Wake up. This is an informational show. Not very entertaining. I get it. I'll do my best. Shout out to everybody out there as well. Don't forget to like this joint. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching. No, the show is not over. All right. But I just wanted to put that out there. Also, all right, check out our sponsors over at residency.com. Use the promo code SFBreezie. I'm rocking one of my favorite caps right now. Go ahead and get this cap, man. Use that promo code, save $5 on your purchase today. Back to makes or cuts. This is makes or cuts. Any surprises? This is fun. Like, I know I shouldn't be happy, but I'm glad that the Niners got their roster put together, and I'm kind of glad that they're going to start molding it very soon, even though there are two pieces. All right. Now, if you guys want to know about linebacker Jalen Graham, he will not be signing to the 49ers. He is signing to the Washington Commanders practice squad. The 49ers, I believe, play the Commanders this year, and Jalen Graham will get an opportunity if he can make their active roster. He would get an opportunity, okay, to face his former team. So Jalen Graham, the Niners went with Tatum Bethune. We're on the defense yet. We're getting to the defense right now. Surprise cuts. That's a surprise cut for me. I thought that, let's talk about the linebackers. I thought that Jalen Graham would have made it over Tatum Bethune, but I was wrong. Niners kept 6 linebackers. Tatum Bethune, I thought, would be the kid that they felt like they can release and bring back and stash on the practice squad because this was their guy. But they decided that Tatum Bethune showed whatever he needed to show on the film. And let me just remind you, he was the best run defender as a linebacker in the preseason. Congratulations to Tatum Bethune. Rookie linebacker making the active roster. Rookie linebacker making the active roster. So congratulations to Tatum Bethune. Well-deserved. Curtis Robinson, Demetrius Flanagan fouls. Let me just put this thing about DFF. I know a lot of people are upset. You know what I'm saying? Tatum Bethune was the 7th round pick of the San Francisco 49ers in this last year's draft, all right, from Florida State. I did the film breakdown on the Patreon, so if you want to check it out, it's on the Patreon. You can see why the Niners chose him. He's a playmaker, and he's a good run defender. My only question marks about him is him in pass coverage. But it's like that with all the rookies. I got questions about Malik Mustafa. The only rookie I feel like is going to be great in pass coverage is Renardo Green. Like, I think he's perfectly fine. I feel like he's a lockdown corner as a rookie. All right, Curtis Robinson, DFF. Let's talk about DFF. Like, look, you guys got to understand, right? The 49ers, to me, are the worst special teams unit in football. And then it hit me. Like, and I think I was talking to Mike. I can't remember. I do so many shows. I was like, it hit me. Why? Because their starters in preseason, okay, were starting. So the special team starters were actually starting on defense, which means now they got second, third string special teamers out there trying to make this roster. And so it hit me. So when I think about Demetrius Flanagan fouls, don't look at him or Curtis Robinson as your starting linebackers, right? Even though they have the potential and ability to start. But look at your special teams unit getting better. With the new rules of special teams, it's not about having speed and having gunners get down there on the football field because these guys can't take off anymore. It's changing. You need safeties. You need linebackers. You need these bigger guys that are going to be able to fill these gaps, run over people, and make the tackles. So he's a special teams ace. So is George Odom. That's why I really don't want to take Odom off of the joint, all right? Off of the joint. All right. So here we go. Perfield Yates, Cody Schrader has been claimed off of the waivers to the Los Angeles Rams. So Cody Schrader is now going to be a Ram. All right. Now let's see if he'll have the ability to make the roster. If you know about the Rams running backs, they got a couple of running backs, Kyron Williams. They drafted Blake Corum, and they picked up Cody Schrader. All right. Also, Samuel Womack got picked up by the Indianapolis Colts. So Samuel Womack will not be a 49er. So he is on the Indianapolis Colts. And here's the thing about Womack, and I know people are going to be like, damn, like how he get cut. All right. I don't think he was versatile enough to play for the 49ers. Remember my issues with Womack? My issues with Womack were when you line him up in the slot, he could not play in the slot. And the Niners already had their outside guys. And so if you're a 49er and you can't show the versatility, no matter how great you are outside, they're not going to give you the opportunity because you're not gonna step up over the outside guys. Now, if there was an opportunity that presented himself, yes, Samuel Womack would probably had that opportunity. But the Niners made it clear in free agency a few years back that they were going to get an outside corner that fit what the Niners wanted. I know Travarius Mooney-Ward might not be that super duper flashy corner, but let me just keep it a buck. And I don't think people are making this correlation. They lose Richard Sherman. They pick up Ward. Richard Sherman wasn't an interception guy. He had a few interceptions, but what was he known for? PBUs. They go and get another high PBU guy that likes to play press man, and he had to learn how to play zone defense, which I feel like now he is. He's an all-pro. He's got it down pat. And what does Travarius Mooney-Ward do? PBUs. Now he's starting to add the interceptions to his game because he's starting to understand these routes and what the quarterbacks are doing. So they got that guy. And then when you look at Deommodore Lenoir, who is labeled as a DB, not a cornerback, by the 49ers, right? That's your versatility. So the question is, was Womack better than Renardo Green? Was Womack better by better than who was it? Darrell Luter Jr. What, like all these different things. All right. Now the 49ers did not claim any players off the waivers, I believe, as of now. And so now they get to sign. So the waiver wire is done. And now they get to offer these players some contracts. So Panthers ended up claiming 49ers 6th-round draft pick Jared Kingston. The Carolina Panthers have Jared Kingston. So the 49ers lost Jared Kingston. Now on the B.A.M show, we'll talk about some of these players that the 49ers lost a little bit more in detail. All right. So far, we've lost Jalen Graham, Cody Schrader, Samuel Womack, and Jared Kingston. And I'll create that list on the players that we lost. I will hopefully be able to update you while we finish this show about the remaining players on the practice squad. But on today's B.A.M show, we're going to break down the practice squad. I promise you that. All right. So let's get to the defensive line. Robert Bill Jr., Leonard Floyd, Kevin Givens, Sam Okwuegbunam. I'm Sam O, Jordan Elliott, Yetur Gross-Matos. He's dealing with an injury, so I want people to pay attention to that. He's dealing with the injury. Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins. So all of the players that made this, and I wonder if they were going to go one less. Oh, it just hit me. They might have went with only 3 edge rushers, and I know that sounds crazy. But when you look at Sam O, he's a big guy. 270, 269, 270, big guy. Kind of like that tweener. Niners like what? What's the key word? Starts with a V. I'm not talking about the stuff from the boys that you turn into a superhero. They like versatility. San Francisco 49ers like this might be a player where they are able to line up inside. They're able to line up outside. Who does that remind you of? You guys remember a guy named Charles Omenihu? I feel like that's the Sam O vibe. That's what they're getting from Sam O. Okay. And I think that's why he made this roster. He can line up inside. He can line up outside. I feel like he's the only versatile piece. Maybe you can get some inside outside from Gross-Matos, but he is dealing with an injury that has him listed week to week, whereas Leonard Floyd's injury was listed day to day. Those are both knee injuries. All right. So just congratulations to the defensive line. Robert Bill Jr. is who I got my eye on. I'm hoping that the Niners use him as a speed rusher. I would like to see him line up outside on certain downs, especially those 3rd and long downs, and just beat the one-on-one, get to the quarterback, and do what he does best. All right. Do what he does best. All right. So look, defensive line is pretty much set for now, not set in stone. The Niners may look to add somebody off of other people's teams that have been released. So it's not over with yet, right? This is the official 53. We talked about the linebackers. Cornerbacks, I mentioned them. Charvarius Ward. Ambry Thomas is the one that's got me scratching my head. But the stash thing started kicking in. And now we know the Niners decided to keep Ambry Thomas for depth purposes. They placed him on the IR. He'll be available 6 weeks or later. And then they could kind of like reevaluate. Did Darrell Luter Jr. progress? Is Isaac Yiadom giving them what they need? Is Ronaldo Green continuing to progress? You may not see Ambry Thomas at all this week. He may be a player they don't bring back from the practice squad, and that's okay. I thought Ambry Thomas was even worse than Samuel Womack. But for some reason, this guy will get the opportunity. I think his health has been hindering him. I'm not saying that this is the reason. If you go back to Ambry Thomas' rookie season when he started to flash like he was about to be a nice cornerback for the San Francisco 49ers, he made a lifestyle change, and I'm not questioning his lifestyle change. But if you follow Ambry Thomas, you'll understand what I'm saying. He started eating differently, started doing things differently, and maybe it just affects your body differently. You know, it's cool to be lean and eat lean and all that type of stuff, but then your muscles and things just change differently. And Ambry Thomas hasn't been healthy since his rookie season either. He's like the Elijah Mitchell on defense. But then when he goes out there, the difference between the two is when he goes out there, he gets taken advantage of because they just abuse him. Whereas Elijah Mitchell looked like he could be an NFL rushing leader at one point, right? So Ambry Thomas is going to be on the IR. I didn't have him making the roster, but he made the roster as a cornerback. All right. So the Niners essentially kept 6 corners, even though they put Diamadou Lenoir as a defensive back, which means he's the most versatile piece. And then the 4 safeties, Jair Brown, Talanoa Hufanga, who made the active roster, George Odom, rookie Malik Mustafa. That is your initial 53. We've already, since we've been live, added a new player to the 53. For those that are just watching, for those that are just tuning in, all right, those that are just tuning in, here's what's going on with the Niners. Ambry Thomas, Jonathan Feliciano on the IR, Eric Sauber to the 53. So the Niners have added already a tight end to the fold. All right, already added a tight end to the fold, but they got another player that they're going to add. The question is, who's going to be that player? Who's going to be the player that they look to add back to keep the 53-man roster? Is it Trent Williams? Do they keep that one spot open? Oh, let's talk. Is Trent Williams almost ready to return? Well, and hear me out. If the Niners keep this spot open, there's a possibility that Trent Williams can return. This is going to be real cool, right? Real cool. I don't know. Let's pay attention to what the Niners do. They got one available spot because they just put 2 players on the IR. Just 2. They got 2 players on the IR designated for return that they just placed after making the initial 53. So we'll see what happens. Are they looking to keep a spot open for Trent Williams? I don't know. I really don't know. But it could be a possibility that's what they're doing. Boat says has to be Trent. They have not added anybody. Loner Cognito, Kalia Davis was placed on the IR before the 53. He was one of those 2 players that they can place on designated to return before the roster. So it just changes the language slightly, a little bit, or whatnot. So he technically didn't take up a roster spot. That's pretty much the new language, right? You got 2 players you could put on the IR before the actual cuts, and they can still be designated to return with the same time. The Niners only used 1, right? They only use 1 of those spots. They don't get an extra spot, and they put those players on the active roster, Ambry Thomas, Jonathan Feliciano, and then they released them. So the Niners had 53. They had 25 offensive, they had 25 defensive, and they had 3 the special teams players, Jake Moody, Mitch Wishnowsky, and Tabor Pepper. So that's what's going down. All right. That's what's going down. All right. So again, players that the 49ers have currently lost. All right. Jaylen Brown. Okay. Jaylen Brown is gone. Jalen Graham, excuse me. I was thinking Celtics. All right. Cody Schrader, Rams. Jalen Graham, Commanders. Samuel Womack, Colts. Jarrett Kingston, Panthers. Okay. Those players are gone. Okay. Those players are gone. Matthew says NBC Sports just put out 55 minutes ago that Trent and Trent is playing around when it comes to his contract. Don't see him being on the field week 1. Hey, man, it could be. I'm just paying attention to what's going on, and I'm not saying that the Niners aren't going to be signing another player. The question is, who would it be? Who did the Niners release or waive that you feel like they're going to bring back? They didn't pick up anybody that cleared waivers as of yet. That's what's super interesting, right? So none of the players that cleared waivers, they haven't brought any of them back. It's crazy. Well, apparently they're looking to bring back a couple of the players. Okay, so we did talk about that. So Tanner Mordecai, Tay Martin, Tracy Walker III. Those are the 3 players that the Niners are looking to bring back out of their 17 or 16 with the 1 international player. So it's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna know at some point. But right now, these are 3 players. Now that was per Tay Martin's source. Tracy Walker III is, is supposed to be under the attentions that he is going to be called up to be active week 1. That's one of the stipulations to why he signed. You know what I'm saying? Oh, don't tell me this. Yo, don't tell me this. Lewis and they got cut by the Vikings? Don't tell me this. Listen, and this is why I said pay attention. The Niners didn't bring back certain players, but that does not mean they are not paying attention to other players that were cut and cleared waivers. This is crazy. Now, he has to clear waivers. He's still a young kid. He would have to clear waivers. But if the Niners add another safety, like Sine Lewis, oh man. Wasn't he out of Georgia? Oh, man. Yo, I would like it. I would love it. The 49ers 2024. I actually like that kid. You know what I'm saying? So, look, I don't know. But I think the Niners need to figure out. They need to get an offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? They need to bring back an offensive lineman. All right. They need to bring back an offensive line. Now, per Matt Barrows, here's why they said he cleared the waivers. He's a free agent now. I think the waiver wire stuff has been cleared, right? That's over with. Time is done. Now, so they may bring him back as a free agent if he cleared the waivers, or they may sign him to the practice squad. Interesting. Per Matt Barrows, the 49ers kept injured John Feliciano on the initial 53 roster instead of putting him on the IR designated to return and creating an additional space. Gotta think if they had done it differently, they would have held on to Kingston. So they already had this in mind. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, they already had this in mind. And yes, the waivers are over, so everybody has been cleared. Thank you, Percy Jones. Appreciate that. So everybody right now is free. Everybody is free. So now the Niners can go out there and sign away, and they got some spots. Interesting, though, if they chose to bring back Tay Martin. Interesting. I liked Tracy Walker. I liked what I saw on film. I definitely did. Not going to stunt. You knew that Tanner Mordecai was going to be the corner. The question is, there's some tight ends that have been released. Are they going to look to bring back any tight ends that they already had in camp, right? And so this is gonna be fun. This is gonna actually be fun. Or do they look to go after Irv Smith? Do they look to go after a Tanyan? Do they look to go after some of these other tight ends that actually have been released? I don't know. We're gonna find out. So this has actually been fun. All right. Okay. So the poll question says that the tight end room group was the most shocking, and I get it. I'm gonna end the poll right now, and it was because they only went with 2 tight ends. I totally get that. They only went with 2 freaking tight ends. So the question was, what was the plan? Well, those that are just watching the show, the plan was they were going to place a couple of players on the IR, and they brought back Eric Saubert to the 53. That's right, Rob D. Saubert is back. Tight end 2 for the 49ers is back. I don't give what anybody says he's tight end 2 until he's not. Like, he's tight end 2. He was tight end 2. All this time, he's going to be tight end 2. What's going on, 49er media? He was tight end 2 this whole time. You know what I mean? So it is, it's Eric Saubert. So they got their 3 tight ends. Good. Because I was like, yo, what about 13 personnel? Nobody cares about 13 personnel. You get down there on that goal line. I want them big motherfuckers out there. I want the big tight end pass catching, blocking. I want it out there. I want play action. I want it to look weird when the Niners show up with 3 tight ends that can catch, opposed to just 1. So I actually like this. You know what I'm saying? I actually like this. Now, what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk? Is he going to practice today? We'll find out. I'm hoping he does. It will kind of make things a lot more awkward if he practices today. Right? Like if he practices today, it's going to make things a little bit more awkward. But the Niners currently have, if I'm not mistaken, and if my math is mathing, they currently have one available spot on the offense. On their team. They have 52 man, and they can sign another player. The question is, are they going to keep that spot open because they are looking for Trent Williams to return? Is that the offensive lineman that they're looking to get back? He did not take up a roster spot, and so this is going to be interesting. Again, here's the waiver wire updates. If you guys have not seen it, because the waiver wire is over. Tate Martin, Tracy Walker, Tanner Mordecai are players that the 49ers are looking to bring back. If I'm not mistaken, these are the 3 players so far that they're looking to bring back. Who did they lose? Well, they lost Samuel Womack III to the Colts. They lost Jared Kingston to the freaking Panthers. They lost Cody Schrader to the Lambs. And they lost Jalen Graham, former 7th round pick, to the Washington Commanders. Interesting that, our guy Adam Peters gets maybe a kid that he was high on, a kid that he helped scout, and now he's going to be back in a system that he's super familiar with. So we'll see what happens, ladies and gents. Listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the WayneBreezie Show. You guys have been an excellent audience. Give yourselves a round of applause. Again, don't forget to use that promo code right there, SFBreezie. Go to www.residency.com. Go ahead and get you one of your cool hats. I want to see you rocking your hat. Matter of fact, if you order a SFBreezie, order a hat from Residency using the promo code, when you get your hat, send me a picture. I want to put together a collage of all those that actually use the promo code, and that's rocking the hat that you chose, all right? They're rocking the hat that you chose. Let's do something a little bit different this season, all right, ladies and gents? Again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. It's going to be interesting, all right? 49er Media says breaking news. Cornerback Chase Lucas is back on the practice squad. Interesting. All right. So, well, that's cool. They lost Samuel Womack. They like what they saw from Chase Lucas, who's also going to give them special teams value if they need to call him up. And now they got a cornerback on the practice squad. That's going to be pretty cool. Thank you, 49er Media. Appreciate you guys. Again, don't forget to join the Patreon so that you can enter the giveaway of the autographed jersey that we're going to be doing on Labor Day, which is Monday, September 2nd, I believe. That is Labor Day, right? So we'll be doing that next Monday, and you'll have exclusive access to the live shows, all right? Exclusive access to the live shows. I'll see y'all next time, man. Hopefully we'll be back on Friday. And until then, keep it faithful to the Bay, everybody. Peace.
So bright that we shining. All we know is the Niners. Ready gold at its finest. So faithful to the Bay. I be sipping gold bar whiskey on the rocks, and a 24 karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping non-stop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop. We be banging through your speakers. WayneBreezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. WayneBreezie, the 4-9 preacher. We so bright that we shining.